එන්ට වෙන කෙනෙකුට හරි ඒක already ඉන්න කෙනෙකුට හරි මොනවද hydration fundamentals දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ කියලා හිතනවා.
Activity in the outer environment, you usually lose about 1 liter per hour sweat.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
You are the first sports nutrition physician to work with the Sri Lanka cricket team.
හිතන්න ඕනේ වතුර විතරක් බොන එක එච්චරම ideal නෑ athletes කෙනෙකුට.
Welcome to FitPod powered by Olu Water and Fitzky. So today we are talking about one of the most important aspects of wellness and fitness and nutrition, and that is hydration. We have a hydration expert with us. Dr. Hashan Amaratunga is a sports and clinical nutrition physician. I'm also going to read out your other credentials because they are so impressive. You are the first sports nutrition physician to work with the Sri Lanka cricket team and a country representative of professionals in nutrition for exercise and sports. You're an MD in clinical nutrition, an MSc in human nutrition. You've got an IOC diploma in sports nutrition, IOC certificate in drugs in sports, and to top it off, an MBBS as well. So this is as expert as it gets on hydration. You've also written a book on this subject. So, Doctor, I'm not going to even ask the question of is hydration important because that's a given on this platform. But when people talk about fitness and wellness and nutrition, we do tend to take hydration for granted. We think, වතුර බොන එකනේ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ හරි සරල දෙයක්. So but in sports you can't do that. It's a fundamental aspect of sports nutrition and fitness. So how does hydration for sports differ from hydration for mere mortals, normal people like me?
Yeah, thank you. So when it comes to sport nutrition, we mainly manage 4 things. That is diet, hydration, supplement, and body composition. So hydration is one of the most vital parts of us to maintain performance. So when it comes to sport hydration, so hydration management is very important to maintain the performance, mainly the accuracy of the athletes doing. So hydration we are keenly managing in athletes, but when it comes to general population, we need to maintain the hydration. We are not targeting the performance of a general population person. So usual fluid requirement of a general person is about 40 milliliters per kilogram. That means, let's say the person is 50 kilograms, their requirement is we have to multiply 50 by 40 to get the daily requirement. That comes around 2000 milliliters. Okay. So that is their requirement. But when it comes to athlete, usually if you do a physical activity in the outer environment, you usually lose about 1 liter per hour sweat.
Crazy.
So, yeah,
okay.
So that is the average. There are some athletes who lose over 2 to 3 liters of sweat per hour.
My goodness. Okay.
So our daily requirements for a general person is 2 liters, but some people may lose over 2 liters within 1 hour.
Yeah,
if you do
that could be quite unhealthy.
So we need to manage hydration actively in athletes mainly to people who target performance. So when it comes to managing athletes, in relation to hydration, first thing we need to know the sweat rate, how much they sweat, and the second thing is the composition. Composition is very important because 99.5% of the sweat composition is sweat contain water. The second most concentrated thing is electrolytes. Out of that, sodium is the most important one, and there are potassium, magnesium, and calcium also, but sodium is the highest concentrated electrolyte in the sweat. So when you lose more sodium, you get less high chance of getting muscle cramps and injuries. So we need to get idea about the sweat composition also. So when you know those things, we can manage hydration easily in an athlete population. But when it comes to the general population, there's nothing, no significant thing like that. But we need to get idea how much they need within the 24 hours. Then there's no point taking large amount at one time. We need to take continuously your requirement.
Yeah. Okay. I do notice that we tend to think, okay, other dawsen water we win, so we're just gonna gulp down 2 liters at once. So that's obviously not a great thing to do either.
So let's say your requirement is 2 liters. You have to take it at least in 10-15 times
in a day. Right. Okay. So when you're talking about the athletic sides of things and the sports side of things, it's really intriguing because there's a whole science behind it that most of us aren't aware of. I certainly wasn't aware of that. So when you talk about sweat composition and the rate of sweat somebody sweats at or something like that. So how do you measure this? How do you measure hydration in a human being, and then how much they're losing in hydration, how much they need to supplement that? So what does the science look like in simple terms?
Yeah. So there are multiple ways to measure hydration, what the fluid requirement. So easiest way to get idea about fluid requirement is the get idea about the urine color. If the urine color is dark, that means you are fluid. You are deficient in fluid. The second easiest method in our setup is to measure weight. So when you do physical activity, you have to measure the pre-physical activity weight and the post-physical activity weight. Then we can get idea how much you are losing.
Right.
You have to have idea how much you are taking also that during that period. Then if there's a weight loss, that means you have not taken adequate amount during that period.
Right.
So what we target in physical in athletes, we are trying to reduce that loss less than 2%. So during a physical activity, your weight should not lose more than 2%. That is our target.
Okay.
So that is the easiest two methods to measure the urine color and the body weight measurement. And there are more advanced methods like sweat. There are sweat patches. You only need to place it here.
Right.
Then you get the sweat rate and the sodium content.
Okay.
And there is a sweat sensor also.
Right.
It works similar like that. And you can use lab methods like you can collect the sweat and send to a lab, and you can assess the
composition.
So
right.
Those are the main ways to assess
sweat. Right. So even when it comes to weight management and weight loss, some of the buzzwords that we keep hearing are things like water retention. It's water weight. I feel like I haven't fully understood what that means when somebody's got water retention, or their weight is related to water weight as opposed to weight of other things and fat and all of that. So when it comes to weight management and weight loss, where does water come into that, and how does this idea of water retention and water weight play into it?
Yeah, actually 60% of our body weight is water. So when you dehydrate, your weight will go down. So when it comes to weight management, the initial weight you lose usually from the fluid.
Yes, exactly.
But in the long run, it won't last. But body will find some way to get the required fluid amount.
Right.
But there are sports that require specific cutoff weights, like let's say boxing and everything. So other like wushu sport, those kind of sports, you need to be specific weight. So in those setups, they use water cutoff methods.
Right.
They are using high sweating methods to reduce their weight to the required amount.
Yeah.
But when it comes to weight loss, just fluid dehydration will not helpful in the long run. But for in general population, they are not playing any games. So reducing small amount just by dehydration won't help in the long run.
Right. But even when it comes to weight management and weight loss, it's also advised that your hydration levels are up, that adequate hydration is also important for the process of weight loss or weight management. So it's kind of a balancing act, isn't it? You can't lose too much water weight or your hydration from your body, but at the same time, you do need a certain amount of hydration to aid the process of weight loss.
Yes. Because when you don't get the adequate fluid to the body's metabolic pathways will get they will get affected. So all the functions in your body will be affected if you don't take adequate amount of fluid. So even you are losing weight, you are trying to lose weight, you need to take the required fluid amount, that is 40 multiplied by body weight. So the requirement won't change if you are planning to lose weight or not.
Right. Okay. So this is a good point. I think just knowing how much water you need, because we hear this on a daily basis. This is the kind of hydration requirement we all have as human beings, whether you're doing sports or not. But actually practically integrating that into our daily lives is quite a struggle. And I'm sure that as much as you've been studying this, and you're also interacting with different parts of the population, both the sports side as well as the general population. Um, do you see that people are not getting the kind of hydration they need? Is that something that's quite common?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
I think most of the people are not taking adequate
Right.
fluid during the day. So actually, most people don't know their requirement.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
but it is very easy to calculate the requirement. You need to only multiply 40 by your body weight. So most people don't know that. So that is the highest requirement. You can come up to 35 ml for kg also. So when you know the requirement, you can easily cover the
Yeah.
required fluid intake. But most people don't know that part. Then
Yeah.
they are not covering the requirement most times because they are not keen on hydrating.
Yeah, they're not keen on drinking water. I think now more and more people are using other methods to get hydration into their bodies as well, maybe flavored waters or mineral waters, different types of waters, to kind of make it a little bit more interesting to drink water, because people do need incentives, because obviously water doesn't have a very interesting taste. So that's another reason why people shy away from drinking that much water. But there are different methods that we can, as the general public, integrate into our lifestyle. But in the sports setting, hydration, like you said, can be a do or die situation for some athletes, because you have your weight cutoff points, and even in recent times at the Olympics and things like that, we've seen wrestlers and sports people like that struggling to meet their standard, the weight that they need to meet, and going into saunas and trying to sweat it out, trying to lose as much water as possible. So sports people, they are always pushing their bodies to their limits. So an expert like you would be a really great asset in that sense. Okay, you're pushing your body to its limit, but at the same time you have to also look at its well-being, the body's well-being. So in sports, how do you manage this? How do you find the balance between pushing an athlete to its optimum competitive strength or ability, but at the same time staying healthy and staying well?
So when it comes to athletes, when we manage athletes, so first thing we need to identify is the sweat rate and the sweat compression. Then we can give a guide for them what is their requirement. So usually what we say is, let's say the competition is happening tomorrow. So what we usually say them to have an electrolyte containing fluid in the night, about 500 ml, and check the urine color in the morning. Have another 500 if the urine color was dark in the early part of the day. Have another electrolyte containing fluid about 2 hours after. So when you drink water only, it is very difficult to take large amounts. So what we do in sport is we try to flavor it, and we try to cool it. Cooling and flavoring will increase the fluid intake.
Yeah.
So those are the methods that we use to increase the fluid intake of athletes. Because let's say athletes losing over 2 liters per hour, you need to take 2 liters of water within that period. It is very difficult to take that large amount of water without giving an incentive like flavoring and cooling.
Yeah.
So those are the things we do usually.
Right. And also Dr. now දකින්න ලැබෙන අපිට ගොඩක් ට්‍රෙන්ඩ් එකක් කියන්න බෑ, ඒක හරිම පොසිටිව් ශිෆ්ට් එකක් මම හිතන්නේ. කලින් අවුරුදු දිහා බැලුවහම අපිට දැන් කාලයත් එක්ක පේනවා ගොඩක් අය තමන්ගේ ෆිට්නස් ගැන, තමන්ගේ වෙල්නස් ගැන ලොකු උනන්දුවක් දක්වනවා. ඒක සමහර විට සුපර්ෆිෂියලි මොටිවේටඩ් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ ලස්සනට ඉන්න ඕනේ, ඇඟ ලස්සනට තියෙන්න ඕනේ කියන එක වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. බට් මොකක් හරි හේතුවක් නිසා එහෙම පොඩි ශිෆ්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක පොසිටිව් ශිෆ්ට් එකක්. ගොඩක් අය ජිම් එකට යනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් තව මොකක් හරි ස්පෝර්ට් එකක් කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් එක ඒජ් ගෲප්ස් වල අය ඊවන් වයස් කාණ්ඩෙන් වැඩිපුර ටිකක් වැඩි පැත්තට තියෙන අය අඩුම ගානේ ඊවනිං වෝක් එකකට හරි යනවා. අපි දකින එක හරි කොමන් සයිට් එකක්. ඒක හරි හොඳ දෙයක්. එතකොට දැන් ඒ අය විශේෂයෙන් ජිම් එකකට යන කෙනෙක් නම් ඒගොල්ලන් සමහර විට ෆිට්නස් පැත්ත ගොඩක් දන්නවා ඇති. ඒගොල්ලන් ටියුටෝරියල්ස් බලලා විවිධ දේ බලලා එක්සර්සයිස් මෙතඩ්ස් ඒවත් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා ඇති. නමුත් මට හිතෙනවා සමහර විට හයිඩ්‍රේෂන් ගැන බේසික් නොලෙජ් එකක් අපිට ලැබෙන්නේ නැතුව ඇති කියලා. ගොඩක් අපිට දැන් තියෙන ප්ලැට්ෆෝම්ස් වලින් එහෙම ලේසියෙන්. එතකොට ඒ වගේ ෆිට්නස් ජර්නි එකකට මුලින්ම එන්ට වෙන කෙනෙකුට හරි, ඒක ඔල්රෙඩි ඉන්න කෙනෙකුට හරි මොනවද හයිඩ්‍රේෂන් ෆන්ඩමෙන්ටල්ස් දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ කියලා හිතන?
මෙතන පළවෙනි දේ තමයි දවසේ ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි නොකරන දවසක කොච්චරද රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක කියලා දැනගන්න. කියන්නේ දැන් අපිට ලේසියෙන් බලන්න පුළුවන් කලින් වගේම බර 40 වැඩි කරන්න.
Yeah. ඒක දැන් ෆෝමියුලා එකක් වගේ මගේ ඔළුවේ තියෙනවාද
තුන්
කියලා.
පාරක් කිව්වා. එතකොට දවසට මොන රික්වයර් ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි නොකර නෝමල් දවසක රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක තමයි ඒක. එතකොට ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් කරනවා නම් අපි පැයක් කරනවා නම් එතකොට දැන් ඇවරේජ් එක ලීටරයි. එතකොට ඒ ලීටරේ ඇඩ් කරගන්න ඕන අර එන රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක රික්වයර්මන්ට් එකට. පැය දෙකක් කරනවා නම් එතකොට පැය දෙක ස්වෙට් රේට් එක එකතු කරගන්න ඕන යූෂුවල් ඩේලි රික්වයර්මන්ට් එකට. එහෙම තමයි ෆීඩ් රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක හදන්නේ. එතකොට දැන් ඔය ගාන දවස් ඇතුළ තම බොන්න ඕනේ. එක පාර ගිල වැඩන්න රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක ලීටර් 4 නම් ලීටර් 2ක් එක පාර ගිල වැඩන්න. එතකොට වැඩිපුර ටික යූරින් එක යනවා. ඒක ඇඟට යූටිලයිස් කරගන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් බෙදලා තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ. අඩුම ගානේ ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් කරනවා නම් විනාඩි 10ක් 15ක් ඇතුළත විනාඩි අඩුම 20කට පාරක්වත් වතුර ටිකක් හරි ඉලෙක්ට්‍රයිට් ෆ්ලූයිඩ් එකක් බොන එක හොඳයි. දැන් එතකොට බොන්න තියෙන ජාතිත හිතන්න ඕනේ වතුර විතරක් බොන එක එච්චරම අයිඩියල් නෑ ඇත්ලීස්ට් කෙනෙකුට. මොකද වතුරේ සෝඩියම් කියන්නේ ඉලෙක්ට්‍රයිට් නැති හින්දා ඉලෙක්ට්‍රයිට් නැති වුණාම වතුර විතරක් බිව්වොත් ඇඟේ තියෙන ඉලෙක්ට්‍රයිට් කන්සන්ට්‍රේෂන් තවත් අඩු වෙනවා. එතකොට තවත් කම්ප්ලිකේෂන් වැඩි. දැන් විශේෂයෙන් ක්‍රෑම්ප් එහෙම එන කෙනෙකුට එන කෙනෙක් වතුර විතරක් බිව්වොත් තවත් ක්‍රෑම්ප් හැදෙන chance එක වැඩි වෙනවා. එහෙනම් වතුර විතර කියන්නේ ඉලෙක්ට්‍රෝලයිට් නැති ෆ්ලූයිඩ් එකක් බොන එක අයිඩියල් නෑ ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් කරන කෙනෙකුට. ඒකට ඉලෙක්ට්‍රෝලයිට් තියෙන මිනරල් තියෙන ඩ්‍රින්ක් එකක් තමයි ගන්න ඕන. විශේෂයෙන්ම සෝඩියම් තමයි ටික වැඩිපුර තියෙනවා. මොකද සෝඩියම් තමයි අපිට වැඩිපුර ප්‍රශ්න ගෙනෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ මසල් ඉන්ජරි ක්‍රෑම්ප් වෙන වැඩි chance එක තියෙන සෝඩියම් එක. හැබැයි සෝඩියම් වැඩිපුර ගන්න ඕන ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි කරන ඇට්ලීස්ට් හයි එන්ඩ් එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටියට. නමුත් ජෙනරල් පොපුලේෂන් එකට සෝඩියම් ටික වැඩිපුර ගත්තොත් ඒක ප්‍රෙෂර් පැත්ත වැඩි කරන හැම ප්‍රශ්න වෙනවා. ජෙනරල් පර්ෆෝමන්ස් ටාගට් නොකර ෆිසිකල් ඇක්ටිවිටි කරනවා නම් ෆ්ලූයිඩ් කියන්නේ ලුණු පොඩ අඩුවෙන් තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ. නමුත් පර්ෆෝමන්ස් ටාගට් කරලා කරනවා නම් හරිම ෆ්ලූයිඩ් රික්වයර්මන්ට් එක සෝඩියම් ලොස් එක බලලා ඒ ගන්නට ගන්න ඕනේ.
Okay, so whoever thought hydration would be so complicated, but I mean, there's a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of information behind it as well, and I think just like anything else, we now have a lot more information on nutrition than we did before. We are way more aware about the kind of food we put into our body, what its contents are. We're checking the back label to see what's in it. So I think hydration is equally important, and it's something that we don't talk about enough, but we have talked about quite a lot of it today. So I hope that was really helpful. That was a really enlightening chat about hydration with an expert in the field, Dr. Hashan Amaratunga. Thank you, doctor, for joining us here on FitPod today. And here's where hydration begins with Oluwater and Fitzky, and we shall meet you again on another FitPod.